Let's be real. Starting, running, and scaling a coaching business can feel exhausting. I mean, you've got the marketing, the hustling, the selling, all that stuff you didn't realize you would need to master when you decided to start a coaching business. For anything like me, you started your coaching business to change the world, to improve the lives of others while improving your own. Well, the truth is, running a business doesn't have to be as hard as many of us have made it out to seem. And you don't even have to do all that hustling stuff if you don't want to. You really can get into flow, into your zone of genius, and get back to the work you were sent here to do. But you have to ask for help. You have to be willing to work in new ways. You have to be willing to open up your mind to mentors who might be doing it differently than you've ever considered. And you have to be willing to actually implement new ways of thinking and running your business. If you're up for that, stay tuned. I'm Hannah Hermanson, your certified coach, international speaker, author, and yes, the founder of Dream Life is Real Life and the host of this show. And I've been able to help hundreds of coaches build, scale, and enjoy their online businesses. Essentially, make their dream life their real life. And if you'd like help improving your business life and get your coaching business to the next level, we might be able to help you. Head on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show to get all the resources and episodes that we talk about in this community. You can join our Facebook community, you can find me on Instagram, but more importantly, if you're really ready to integrate what you learn here today and on other episodes, then you'll be able to set up a complimentary 10-minute chat with my team. Again, at dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, no strings attached. We love getting to know you and seeing what are the right next moves for you. But now let's get on to the show. In this podcast, you'll find the real people, concrete tactics, and weekly motivation and inspiration to make your dream life and business real. I started this podcast to bring you the role models that I never had. We talk to successful entrepreneurs, freedom seekers, business owners, and people living life on their own terms. To be a true leader, to create the legacy you desire, and to live in alignment, you need a tribe lifting you up. And I've made it my mission to be your tribe, to bring them to your ears at least, because after all, we are all in this together. Now, let's cue the music. What an exciting day. I feel like I say exciting all the time, but this is actually super special because today we have a guest from real life, like my best friend for 20 years, Courtney FItzpatrick is here.
Hello.
It's not girls' night. It's like 10 a.m. on a Wednesday. We get to hang out.
Yeah, it's the best.
So I usually like to ask guests, tell us your story. How did you get here? I want to tell a little bit of our story first, if that's okay.
Go for it. I'd love to hear.
It was a Wednesday afternoon that we met waiting for the Catholic Religious Education bus, CRE. We had CRE in fourth grade that we were, waiting outside of our school, and we were going to get on the bus to go to our after school program, which was at the church, which we 10 years later became the teachers of, because I think, we're go-getters like that. We don't just go to church, we teach church school.
The best part is I don't even know where the story is going. So I'm learning.
It's just where we met, right? So we've known each other since fourth grade. We went to school. We were even roommates in college together. And now we're living in different states, but you're still my best friend. And you've been, stepping into, some new stuff. And I think we both, obviously, we're chatting all the time. And I wanted to share just like really honestly some of the stuff that we have learned in maybe growing up and chasing some of our dreams. So super excited, obviously, to share some of your wisdom and some of the learning. But for folks who haven't known you since fourth grade, will you tell us a little bit about where you're coming from and what you're up to these days?
Yeah. So I am coming to you live from Iowa, where I live with my husband and our puppy. we've been held up for a year so far. It's kind of crazy. We've both been working from home and enjoying that in a lot of ways. I am on a recently new path of just exploring and figuring out what is really for me with career, with work, with impact, and all of that. So about a year ago, I launched a blog and an Etsy shop and really felt that creative spark to just put more out in the world. And then in the fall, I departed my full-time career of 7.5 years and really just felt the pull to explore more and just figure out what, with more time, I was able to really dive into. So really started honing in on photography skills and just more creative outlets. And so staring at a very messy creative office in front of me. Just excited to kind of keep exploring and figuring out what sticks and what feels good. And also really like honoring the things that don't stick, like just keep trying things. So I'm in a fun spot for sure right now.
Yeah. So. Well, it's definitely been transitional year for a lot of us. And you, amid the pandemic, took on these new opportunities, really. And it's been so fun to be a part of that with you and just like reflect on so much of the mindset and the personal development that comes because, just like making a change or doing a new thing, it looks from the outside or from our feed of like, oh, she just like one day made a decision. But then behind the scenes, there's so much more that goes into it. And one of the things that we've connected a lot on recently is more of that like personal development and getting more clear on like what we actually want. And, I know both of us have been taught how to set goals, how to achieve something. First of all, you just like do what you're told and like, study hard and give them what they want in school. Right. Yep. And then this like SMART goal model, you and I have both talked about some frustration and some disappointment maybe with just, setting SMART, measurable, actionable results, let's focus on a result and then time driven types of results. And for me, I did this for years of, I'm going to, you make it a positive affirmation, right? So the things I would used to say, like, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm relaxing in my home with a pool on December 31st, 2020 at midnight. And we've both shifted from that model. And so will you talk a little bit, maybe just first with your experience around goal setting, how you learned it, what worked, what didn't work?
I have always, been a little like standoffish with SMART goals. I feel like it instantly like gives me
anxiety.
I don't know. Like I just truly remember many times, like if it was a class or I don't know, whatever, work, being like, oh, I don't know how to measure this. Like, I think so much of what I enjoy in the world is based on like connections and human experiences almost. And it's like, well, those aren't really measurable. And so I don't know. I've always just never felt super connected to SMART goals. And I've always been like, ooh, I'm forced to like create this into a measure of some sort.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, my first experience with it. And then there's just, I think in the past year, especially like we all go through different seasons of slowness and fastness and like, we need things at different points in our lives. So if you're going to just measure your success based on something you've achieved in a season that you really just needed to slow down and like give back to yourself, that is like probably one of my biggest takeaways of this past year is I had like rushed and like hamster wheel, like worked for 7.5 years in a job that I really did love, but I really needed like rest and to like give back to myself in a lot of ways. So that has just been like a big season for me in the past year. And I've really had to work a lot on that practice of like slowing down, listening to my desires and what I actually want, and not just like, okay, next thing. So I think when it comes to measure and time, I just always feel like you're going to come up short if, especially if you're like not in a season when SMART goals are serving you. So
it's so productivity busy focused in that you have to measure this tangible thing that you can show people and you can post on Instagram, when the question we've been coming back to so often is, how do we want to feel? Right? Like, I want to feel, and I'm looking at my vision board right now. I want to feel joy, ease, and happiness. And does that mean that I'm going to have 5 clients by March 31st, 2021? Or does that mean I'm going to be open and I'm going to rest more and I'm going to pick up a trashy book instead of a business book? And I agree with you that, quarantine in this past year, I think, has given us more of that opportunity to reflect and slow down. And when I really look now at what I want, it isn't just like the house or the money or the title or the thing. It's feeling that I'm really going after. And I think you've always known that. Yeah.
I think I've probably known it more subconsciously. And then, throughout readings and podcasts and just more personal development work, I think it's like given me a name to it a little bit more. Glennon Doyle being a big one, like just reading her book Untamed. I'm going to forget the exact quote, but like she talks so much about your knowing and how, especially as females, like we're all raised to just please and like do the right things. And you're not even like connected with like who you are and that knowing inside. So I don't know. I think it's finally like given me a name to it, kind of, to be like, oh yeah, I have always like known this, that that's what I want. But it's super fun to dive into. And I just listened to like a powerhouse personal development day last week. So I have all of these colored notes. But like all these CEOs are speaking about this, like, and yes, it's so easy to be like, well, they've made it. Now they can just focus on like how they feel, but you can tell it's genuine. And just that impact that aligned.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying about, it's really easy to look at them and say, you have everything. So of course you can like relax and feel good or whatever. But what I've seen so much in like running a business, okay, you have to feel it before you can have it. Like super specifically, let's think about sales calls. Okay. I talk about sales and marketing a lot, and it's so often the energy that we bring to that conversation that determines the outcome, the feeling again. And so if I'm always, asking people like, what was your energy? How did you feel? Were you like going into that call like, oh my God, they have to close. I need this money, scarcity, fear, anxiety, energy? Or did you go into it with curiosity and eagerness and a willingness to give and serve? Because that abundance energy is attractive. And if you want to feel abundant at the end of the sales call and like, get a yes, you have to enter the sales call that way. But this is doing personal stuff too, right? Like you were just coaching me, giving me advice this week on a conversation I'm about to have and, how am I going to do this? And you're like, you just have to like go in with like the energy you want to come out with, like know what the outcome is. And so often,
which is so hard to do, by the way. It's it's so easy to like tell someone to do that, but
it's such great advice, and it relates to so many things. Like back to this, whatever your goal is, like if you want to be relaxing in your dream home, then you got to start relaxing now. Otherwise, you're going to get the dream home, and then you're just going to keep working, or. And so it is a practice.
Yeah, right? I just thought of the perfect, like, bring it all around example too for this. So in the fall, I had one of my first branding photography sessions, and it was like the first like person who was like not in my inner circle and stuff that I was really working with. And I was like so clenched up, like, oh, do I have all the technical, like, my camera settings, like the poses, like so in my head about it. And then I was actually talking to my coach about it, and she was like, yeah, but like, how do you want it to feel? And she is like such a big, she's so big on this. And I was like, it just shifted everything, because I like got out of my head and I was like, okay, yeah, she's already booked me. Like, we're already doing this. Oh my gosh, I didn't make a soundtrack yet. I didn't make like a playlist. Like, I'm going to show up with coffee for her. Like, I'm going to do all these little things that are going to totally shift like how I'm entering the space too, and not be so, of course, there's still like nerves and things when you're doing something for the first time, but it like 180 within minutes, like changed my approach to it like the day before, just because I was like, oh my gosh, I've been so in my head and I haven't even spent the time on these little shifts that are going to have such a bigger outcome in the end than like, was this absolutely perfect in every way? So yeah, that just reminded me of your sales call example too, like how you're showing up in those little things that are going to make you feel good. It's going to be reciprocal. Like, it goes so far.
Yes. I love that. And your first client, of course, you get that like jitter and you want everything to go really well, but it happens at every level. It's that imposter syndrome thing where we get in our heads like, oh, what if I don't do the right thing? Or what if they find out that you're my first client? Or what if they find out blah, blah, blah. And like, but that happens at every stage of the game. Those insecurities come up because you're just moving out of your comfort zone. You're just doing something new. And what you're saying is like the fast track out of that is to be focusing on how you want to feel. And if you're just in your head and it's like, what if this bad thing or all the bad things that can happen, then you're just like on that downward spiral. And so I know like we say this all the time, that like conscious question of, well, how do you want to feel? And then start to, like these great ideas come. Like, I should make a playlist for this shoot and I should bring coffee instead of like the fear thoughts. It just opens up a whole nother channel of thinking, just because you decided how you wanted to feel.
Yeah.
Brains, man.
Yeah. I think of Maya Angelou's quote too.
Yes.
Like, I love this quote. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I had to pull it up so I didn't butcher it. But I also think, I think that's so true. And I think it's true for ourselves too. Like, how are you making yourself feel on a daily basis? Yeah. And Brendan Burchard was the one last week who was speaking about feeling the day. A lot of us are not stopping at points or even one point in the day, like even over lunch, like tapping into yourself and feeling the day. Like, we only have so many of them in our life, and so many are just, we're just, okay, we made it to bedtime. We made it to whatever, to check it off the list. And it's like, I don't know, there's just so much missed opportunity there for even points in your day that you schedule, or even just at lunch. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a good way to say it.
Mentors, I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically like practicing that, right? Like gratitude practice, meditation practice. Okay. These are things that you just have to like put in some reps so that you can start gearing your brain towards it. And I'm going to forget how they say this, but the idea is that in the morning, setting yourself up for those moments and walking through or thinking through a few moments in your day and starting a sentence with, wouldn't it be nice if? So this podcast, we had a little Wi-Fi issue before, and, I could have gone down, blah, 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 of, oh, this is going to be a mess. What if it doesn't work? But if you say, wouldn't it be nice if it was a super great connection? Wouldn't it be nice if at lunch they had free bread? Wouldn't it be nice if I got a thank you note today? Wouldn't it be nice if I felt energized at 3 p.m.? And just, again, launching those rockets of wouldn't it be nice if, starting sentences, starting thoughts with that instead of, oh, this is never going to work. It's going to be so hard. What time is it? I got to get to this thing. Wouldn't it be nice if I was early for that meeting?
Yes. I like that simple shift.
Yeah. And it really is simple shifts, right? And I think this goes back to the SMART goals thing. Like, we think that what we want are these grandiose, measurable, grammable things.
Yep.
When again, like when you really sit and reflect and you're stuck in your house for a year, it's like, well, I just would really like to laugh more.
Yes.
I'd really like to have positive people in my life. I'd really like to feel supported by my community. Wouldn't it be nice if my best friend was on my podcast and that was my job?
Yes. I think that's, And just, for me, I've always been like seeking purpose and impact and all of that stuff. So for me, it's just always been more than like even just material things. Like I'm just purging, and like that isn't the feeling that I want, to be connected to things or outcomes or success that I guess might be applicable like in normal society. I don't know. But more of, like that feeling of connection, purpose, alignment, impact, like all of that. So I don't know. I guess there's probably a lot of other people out there who are the complete opposite, and it's, that's great too. But
even those material things like money, we need money, right? Okay, fine. But you're not chasing a green piece of paper. You're not chasing a number on your screen. You're chasing the feeling or the freedom or the opportunities that money affords you. And so, if we can think of money, or if we can think of a job title, or if we can think of these things as just another form of energy, I think it shifts that, I'll be happier when I have this, or I'll be more confident when I lose this, or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, like practicing and knowing that that green piece of paper can't actually make you feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
You attached that feeling. You decided you're going to feel that way, but like, just try it on. Just try on feeling abundant today. Like fake it, like act. Yeah. All right. We were in seventh grade plays together. We put on a little show for ourselves to just see, do I want to?
I think that's been a big change in the past year too. Like I love to travel throughout a little reflection. I'm like, okay, am I just traveling to like get away from something, a little bit? But in the past year, obviously travel has not really existed unless it's been super close by. So I've had to like tap into what that feeling is that comes from travel or a new destination, and like, okay, how does that look on my walk around town, or my daily whatever, just
right. Like, is travel about escaping something? Is it about trying something new? Is it about adventure? Like, what is the feeling that travel gives you?
Besides
jet lag.
How do you get it in another way?
Yes. Okay. This is like the full circle thing, right? Because when you know how you want to feel, the how will present itself. That you don't have to stress so much about how am I going to get X amount of thing? How am I going to force and control and manipulate and like hustle for this one thing? But it becomes curious. It becomes open. Okay. So you want to feel adventurous. Well, I'm going to put a little dollop of whipped cream in my coffee today because that is adventurous. And I'm not thinking about, I need an adventure. So let's go search for flights and make this effortful. Like it doesn't always have to be effortful. And I think that's back to like the SMART goal format. It's this idea that you have to work hard and earn it. You can like really feel that way, or you can, decide now, be it now.
I get stuck in the how daily. Like that's just always a place I find myself, and I really had to work on that. Like it's just where my mind goes, like, I can't even think about desiring that because how will it happen? So I really have to force myself more in the feeling and like attracting that energy and less in the figuring it out. And another thing, when you said control, something I love learning about, it's probably our psych degrees, is like ego and control. And it's there to keep you safe, but it's not our friend in the end. Like it's truly there to keep us safe from failure or shame or guilt or whatever it is, because it's keeping you in this control state of, okay, that's what that person's doing. That's what I should be modeling, like very much outward. And instead, like, connecting with yourself is where you're going to find all the answers. And I don't know, ego is just fascinating to me, like to keep learning about, because it's there to protect us from failing. But all the success I've had is when I've stepped beyond that control and that like, oh, I should be mirroring like what this looks like or what I should be doing in this way. So I find it super fascinating to learn more about that.
Right. And it's so tricky now to know what is your desire versus a should with social media, right? I mean, this is not a new idea. Everyone is talking about this, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to either have conversations with people offline. Yes, use your cell phone, but like conversations with people or yourself that you're not looking at another example of it, right? Like, oh, well, she priced her thing this way, or she's doing her shelves this way. Like if you are looking at other people, you're just copying. You are copying and you are not a creator. We are 7 billion unique snowflakes. We should not all have the same dream, the same house, the same goals, the same business model. Like we are all different puzzle pieces. And if we keep just trying to be her puzzle piece, we get burnt out. It doesn't work the same way. It's not the same for us.
Yeah. Yes.
There was something else I wanted to come back to about control and efforting. And I think, shoulds versus desires. And this is super tricky when you are so caught up and no one's ever asked me what I actually want. I've always just like done what I was supposed to kind of thing. And remember we did that challenge like a year, I don't know, in the wintertime, the desire challenge. And they talked about essentially micro dosing pleasure. So bring a candle into your office. You know, for me, this, I don't know how to go this far down, but when I was in therapy, I was really indecisive. Like, well, I don't know, like this is my routine and this is what I think I have to do. And I have to work out, like whatever. And so I just had to like, again, fake, like just pretend that I knew what I wanted. Like, what do you want for dinner? You can't say, I don't care. You have to say something. And so I'm not putting this together well, but to start identifying what you actually want, decide that daily little things, you're going to bring in more joy. You're going to have the dinner that you want tonight, not the dinner that's just in the cupboard because you have to, or you should have that, but order pizza every now and then just because you want to. And those little baby steps, those micro doses of, I want this, I'm going to do it. This candle is nice. You're great with like flowers. And those little things help train our brain. Again, it's this practice of becoming the energy and allowing the nice things that you want to be real now.
And even more simply than that, I don't know. I was thinking about so many times in the past year when it's just been like kind of like crawling out of a hole at times to like feel the way you want to feel or whatever. And I think just making a checklist, like, have you drank water? Do you need a hot shower? Like that has been huge for me just to like go back to the basics at times too. And like, honestly, fresh air. Like there was a stretch of time where it was many degrees below zero and we were so cooped up and some of those things weren't possible, but it's like, okay, how can I like feel this in a different way? But yeah, candles are a great example. Like, but just really making sure you have what you need in a day too. And you're not just like rushing around or so lethargic that you're like, I feel nothing. It's like, well, how can you like make those small decisions to put yourself in a mindset where then more is going to be revealed, more will come. Yeah.
And it's that like cliche of you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yes.
And especially as folks who want to make an impact and want to be helpers and give to other people, if we're just going through like, okay, be nice to this person, do this thing, show up, check, we don't actually create the impact we want, because back to people don't remember how much how many emails you sent them or how many spreadsheets you perfected. They remember that it felt really great to work with you, or their interaction left them feeling lighter or better than before. And so this is why I like going back to like, wouldn't it be nice if today this happened?
Adapt that. Yeah, I like that.
And setting goals, it's not like you can set a goal to feel that way for a lifetime. It's not just that it's smaller goals. It's that they are emotional goals.
Yep.
Because when you're in the right state, it unlocks the tangible goals. Because you can show up and be that great coach. You can show up and crush that sales call when you have the right emotional goal nailed first.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. For me too, I think it's, I don't know, this may go against everything you say, but I've been reading a lot about not being as focused on how you're pricing for clients, like to start out, right? But instead what that impact is going to be, how I want to feel. Like, I'm an Enneagram 2, people. Like, I don't know. I want what I'm doing to like truly impact people and outwardly. So for me, like, that is just the sweet spot to be in, I think. Like, always coming back to how it's going to make other people feel, how it's going to impact their life, and less on focusing really like nitpicky in my head about like how to price things perfectly.
No, this is exactly this is exactly what I say and teach.
Okay.
I say you have a transformation, not a transaction. People want to charge like hourly, or like, I'm going to give you these deliverables. So here's what you pay me for my time, for my stuff, for my thing I'm going to give you. No. You're giving people a transformation, not a transaction. And so we need to be thinking about what's on the other side. How are they going to feel? What are the non-tangibles? Like, what is the transformation that you give? Because especially service providers, right? We think, well, I provide this service. This is the cost of my time, but you're providing a solution. And that doesn't just happen in 1 hour or one photo shoot, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I remember after that first branding shoot, you're like, I feel like she started coming out of her shell and she was like so excited to share more of herself on social media. Like, that's a transformation. It's not just a photo package.
Right.
And so that I totally am with you on that. Thinking about, well, what are you actually like leaving in other people?
Yeah. I like that.
We can talk
so much.
Oh my gosh. I know. I was like, we can talk. I got to like make sure we don't just launch into a whole nother chit chat here. If you'd like to hear more chit chat, you can. So I think wrapping this up a little bit, you're always great at putting pretty bow ties on things. Crafty. The takeaway that I'm getting loud and clear, and I hope listeners might be picking up on this, is like, choose the emotion first, and the SMART goals or the thing or the career or the how will unfold because you're thinking positively, you're open to ideas, you're on a mission to feel good. And when you feel good, you can do good. But the do should be after the be.
Yeah, that seems to, come up frequently and works nicely for someone like me who doesn't like SMART goals. But yeah, I think that's the message.
We'll come up with
like,
some.
And like the next right thing is something I have literally Frozen 2 gave me some of that wording from one of their songs. And I know a lot of other people have shared it too, but yeah, I think big picture is good. Like, what's the impact? Like, what's your big picture? But that can be super overwhelming. So I know this feeling, I know this desire for this impact, but like, what's the next right thing to do and to make movement? So I, instead of this list of 50 tasks, I think.
Or instead of the like, what's your 5-year goal? Where do you want to be in 5 years? It's like, well, over the next 5 years, I would like to feel fulfilled and excited. And, the next right thing for me is to leave this career or move to this place or have pizza for dinner.
Yeah.
Right. The next right thing. That is a perfect actionable piece to all of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. Court. if people want to continue this conversation with you and learn more about you and the journey that you're on, where is the best place for listeners to get connected with you?
You mean outside of our just friendly phone calls and Zooms?
Yeah. And
we'd invite everyone in.
Tapping our girls' night. How can they participate?
You can find me probably most consistently on Instagram. So Peach and Lemon Creative is where I'm at on Instagram. That's probably the best spot.
That's your website too, right? peachandlemoncreative.com.
Yep. Yes, it is.
And you can just look back on all of my birthday photo albums or whatever.
So player road trips.
Yeah, if you find a picture of me from 2010, Courtney will be in it. But no, thank you so much. I just I'm so grateful for our friendship and to be, on this journey together and now to be sharing it a little bit because like we say, we are not the only ones feeling this way. No. So I so appreciate you being open and honest and sharing all of your peach and lemon energy with us.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This was like girlfriend hour. It was fun.
I know. Well, I'll see you tomorrow night for the same thing. No recording. But seriously, I will be back with another inspiring guest next week that will help you make your dream life and business your real life.
That's right, friends. That'll do it for our show today. But remember, if you're really ready to implement and take these ideas into action, then hop on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, and you can access all of the resources we talked about, and more importantly, set up a complimentary 10-minute phone call with my team so that we can help you get clarity and some concrete action steps in place. So this doesn't just become another one of those feel-good moments, but an opportunity to actually make a change in your life and business, because all good things come in action. So we'll see you over there at dreamlifeisreallife.com/show and next week here on the show.